Philip, thanks so much for your time. So perhaps if you can just set a scene for us of what this fun district is all about and what it looks like, as you know, you have been there as the anchor tenant.
Yes, that's correct. So we, as Hamleys, have opened up a 2,000 square metre store. It's a first for South Africa, and actually only the second of its kind in the world. We were approached by Sandton about 2 years ago to look at revitalising the movie level of the mall. And we put together a project which was then to encompass a whole lot of themes and attractions, as I said, which would be very different to anything else that's been seen before in South Africa. Mm-hmm. The store itself encompasses a carousel. It's actually got a slide that actually goes into the store to attract the kids into the store. There's a water play table area. There's a VR ride experience. There's a giant piano. Mm-hmm. And there's an RC car attraction that's in the store. So it's very, very unique in that perspective. In terms of the product range as well, it's very unique in terms of what we actually offer and carry in the store. But from an actual level point of view, as you just mentioned, it's obviously meant to attract families in terms of outings. So the combination of having a flagship Spur in that level. Spur turned 50 last year. We've just turned 258. There's also a new movie experience with Ster-Kinekor. They've introduced a new kids movie house, which is actually beanbags, very relaxed kind of environment for the children to engage in. There's also a little slide within the actual movie house itself. And then there's also BT Games. So the whole combination of all those attractions and the combination of the various tenants in terms of the mix is very much what's driven the fun district. And it was about 100 million, 90 odd million refurbished. Yeah.
So just to focus on Hamleys for a minute, is this how toy stores are staying relevant? I mean, in the UK recently, we've seen a number of Toys R Us shutting down because kids are not into that anymore.
Correct.
So you've still got the traditional toys, but you're adding a whole host of other things for them too.
So I mean, you know, also the age span of children in terms of keeping them within the toy scenario has shrunk. You know, children are exiting traditional toys at a younger age, you know, going into tech toys or whatever the case might be. So Hamleys is very much about an experiential scenario in terms of what we have and what we offer in store. There's a lot of demonstration, there's a lot of theatre, the stores are amazing, they're beautiful. So as I said, it's 258 years old. Yes, Toys R Us have closed down now in the USA and in the UK. Again, pretty much because they didn't have anything different to offer from the normal supermarket type environment. So that's definitely how Hamleys has differentiated themselves, is in terms of the offering and the pure experience. So we very much open up and allow kids to play and engage within the stores and put toys into the hands of children. And obviously parents also like to understand the aspects of what a toy can particularly offer. So obviously there's a lot of educational toys as well, which, you know, parents don't always understand or know the features and benefits. I mean, toys have come a long, long way over the last 250 years, albeit certain things still sell every day. I mean, teddy bears, you know, hula hoops, skipping ropes, magic putty, you know, the basic stuff has always been around for a long, long time. But obviously
those are still best sellers. I thought that kids are glued to their screens, they're glued to their you know, their phones.
I know, it's crazy, but those things sell day in. I mean, we sell teddy bears, plush toys, day in and day out. It's the same as like a Monopoly or a Rubik's Cube. Those still continue to sell. They're always in the top 10 sellers every single month.
Right. And you know, we did mention offline, that you are also hoping to open a new Hamley store in Fourways. And my question to you is, what is so right and opportune about this timing now for you?
Well, obviously we're new into the marketplace. We only entered the South African market 3 years ago. It'll be 3 years in August. And we've opened up stores in all the key major retail centers around the country. So it's been a new phase. And in fact, we've actually been one of the fastest growing international brands in South Africa until this date. So if you actually compare this to, for example, Krispy Kreme, Starbucks, H&M or Zara, in terms of the time frame that we've actually been in the country vis-a-vis the number of stores that we now have, which is 10, we've actually been slightly ahead of the curve, but it's also been because of the demand from the mall's perspective in terms of the offering that we can offer. So because it's so experiential, we have actual staff dressed up in costume. We have what we call a ringmaster that opens the store. If you go to Hamleys in London, every morning at 10 o'clock, there's actually a ceremony that takes place outside the store where kids are attracted and they're allowed to open up the actual store. And we have that same offering here on the weekends where kids can then physically help the staff open up the store. It's a whole little process. There's a ringing of a bell, the staff sing a song, the kids get engaged, they walk in and they walk into a fantasy world, as it were. And that's the big difference between us and the competitive set that we mentioned earlier. It's pretty much going into a fantasy world and reliving childhood dreams that we remember as adults, and it's what we want to give to our children. So that's.
So are you having to adapt the experience that you're giving to children to the African child? And I ask because is it a similar experience as what happens there in the UK? I mean, recently it's been an ongoing conversation about the evolution of Barbie to be
Yes.
more relatable to
Correct.
kids in Africa.
Correct.
Are you finding that some of the toys and the experiences in Hamley are also having to adapt?
So definitely there's certain of those trends that are definitely happening. Obviously we have a wider range of African dolls that we do sell, for example, in the marketplace. But in terms of toys, I mean, toys translate across any generation. So it doesn't matter whether it's, obviously, yes, Monopoly is also translated. You had an Mzansi Monopoly that was launched into the country specifically, obviously, for this market, which included, traditional, Vilakazi Street and Soweto, Sandton Square, Nelson Mandela Square. So there are certain adaptations like that have taken place, but obviously a teddy bear is a teddy bear, Rubik's Cube is Rubik's Cube, but there are certain adaptations that definitely have taken place. And obviously a lot of the big international brands, I mean the likes of Lego, Mattel and Hasbro have identified the African market as a major growth opportunity. And as a consequence of that, they've only recently, in the last, say, 2.5 years, opened local South African run offices, to better understand the consumer. And again, by putting toys into their hands, a lot of consumers have never heard of Lego. I mean, Lego's a massive, it's the #1 brand in the world, but it's not very well known in the African market per se. So they are definitely looking, and that's where through interactions through stores like ourselves, we actually have play tables open on the floor. There's people that are in there actually interacting with the kids, helping them build stuff, and then we often always do giveaways, etc., to try and get that experience out. We're also looking to do deals with various partners, whether it be Reach for a Dream or whatever the case might be, to actually take our brand out into the marketplace and start to educate children and let them see the fun aspect of what toys are all about and bring a bit of joy and fantasy to the marketplace.
For sure. Sounds like a very interesting day. You say it's happening when, Friday or Saturday?
The actual main opening is on the 21st, so that is Saturday, and it's actually going to be starting with a parade at 12 o'clock at Nelson Mandela Square. It's a co-venture, obviously, with the other tenancies within the level that we sit on, but it's also in conjunction with Sandton City. It's a major investment for themselves. There's a collaboration with Nickelodeon, so there's going to be a lot of characters out there, SpongeBob, all the guys will be there, plus our characters. There's a massive parade, and we encourage the kids to come dress up. There's hampers and prizes to be given away. It really is a really fun-filled day for everybody.
How much?
Free.